Good evening. At 7 o'clock, we'll call this meeting of the Goldsboro City Council of July 13, 2020 to order. The first thing we're going to do is do an invocation. Our city manager, Tim Solomon's going to do that, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you would.
Heavenly Father, I ask for your grace, guidance, and inspiration for City Council, employees, and citizens, so that we may make the best decisions and do the right things to do your will, enhance our quality of life, and make Goldsboro a great place to live, work, and play. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Allen.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Broadway.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Councilmember Polak.
Present.
Councilmember Matthews.
Present.
Councilmember Hand.
Here.
Councilmember Aycock.
Here. All right, we're all here. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June 1, 2020. Move to approve. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I noticed that there was some comments that were made by some local citizens, and they were inaccurate, so I'd like just to note that there were some inaccuracies.
All right, anything else? All those in favor, raise your right hand. The minutes are approved. Presentations, we have none. That takes us to public comment period. Can y'all see Melissa if somebody wants to speak, or Tim? Podium, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carl Martin, and I'm a member of Wayne Forward's Housing Work Group. Wayne Forward is a group of individuals and organizations that seeks to address poverty in Wayne County by looking for solutions to affordable housing, quality education, increased access to health care, and quality careers. Legal Aid of North Carolina helps Wayne Forward's Affordable Housing Work Group to promote affordable and fair housing and equitable community development. My comments are regarding the letter that was submitted by Legal Aid of North Carolina to Mrs. Shacole Simpson Carter on June 25th by mail and email concerning the city's CDBG Consolidated Annual Action Plan and for fiscal year 2020 to 2024. Copies of that letter were also sent to the members of City Council. In that letter, it was requested that Mrs. Simpson Carter consider the concerns of and strategy recommended by Wayne Forward as she completed the final draft of the Consolidated Plan and Annual Action Plan. If any consideration was given, it is not reflected in the Consolidated Plan and Action Plan that has been presented for approval by the Council. I am therefore coming before you this evening on behalf of Wayne Forward and urging the members of City Council to vote to reject the request for approval of the CDBG Consolidated and Annual Action Plan for fiscal year 2020 through 2024. There are several comments and recommendations that were submitted by Wayne Forward, and I cannot explain them all in my allotted time, and I wouldn't waste my time trying to explain them because you have or should have received them. But what I will say is that the recommended plans that have been submitted this year are very much like the same failed plans that have been submitted in the past. Plans that have consistently failed to bring meaningful improvements for affordable and fair housing to those targeted areas where most of the funds should be allocated. In conclusion, I just want to point out that the city has already determined and indicated in their comments that Black residents in Goldsboro are disproportionately impacted by the lack of affordable housing. And that is the one main reason that HUD is sending these funds to Goldsboro. Please think about that carefully before voting to approve or reject this flawed plan. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Mr. Martin, before you leave,
Sir,
one of the major concerns that you saw in this con plan, if you just could elaborate for me, I would greatly appreciate it.
the main flaw that I saw in the plan was the number one goal, as I understand it, is fair and affordable housing. And if you look at the plan, most of the money in that plan, in the funds that come in, are not going towards that purpose. They're going towards other goals, which are not the number one goal and priority.
What are some of those particular projects that you?
Well, the most significant project is the city and public facilities. Takes $150,000 each year out of that plan and has been for 10 years, or will be for 10 years. And in looking at the consolidated plan, over the 5 years, it appears that there's also going to be a slice taken out in the latter, towards the end of the 5 years, of $120,000, if I recall, for public facilities. Public facilities, not housing.
You didn't see any allocation for our homeless population in the area and the facilities that take care of the homeless populations?
The amounts that are allocated for all the other aspects are relatively minor compared to the major slice, which goes out towards public facilities and public services. And there's also, right now, if you look at the plan, with regard to the 200-some thousand that the city is going to get to fight COVID-19, as I pointed out, what is key is seeing to it that these people in these areas have masks. They are the most susceptible people to this virus. And in the discussions that I've had and the things that I've heard about it, I don't see where there's going to be that focus on it, on getting these people masked. They could be set up right there in their community so that they could test them. Because the big problem is you've got a lot of people going around here that are infected and they're passing it on to their family, their friends. It could be in here. But we've got federal funds in order to focus on that. How are we going to spend it? And from what I've heard, read, and seen, masks are one of the keys.
So your suggestion would be to make sure that we're in the predominantly Black communities that would be affected most of all, and to bring those resources there too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was the purpose for HUD giving these funds. And that was clear. It's about housing. And we've got a lot of areas around here that look the same year after year, year after year. No big improvements. But we're seeing, what, over $250,000 a year that comes and goes? We need to see some improvements. There needs to be some change. We need to see it.
Well, I appreciate, all your research and, just, trying to make us accountable. I agree that we should be using those resources in other places.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
I would just like to come and I'm here because at your budget meeting that you all had recently, there was questions that I felt like as a District 4 member that Councilwoman Brandy Matthews was asking, and she is the District 4's voice. Along with the fact, in my opinion, she's just a voice, and she should be a voice that has the approval to be able to do that. At that meeting, she was asking about the 17% increase, in which I too still am questionable about and would like answers to. But at that meeting, our mayor censored her voice. He adjourned the meeting before allowing her to continue to have a voice, which then censored my voice. In most areas, even if you look at our school board or you look at our county commissioners, they ask, is there a motion to adjourn? And then they get a second and they vote. I am not sure, as a council, why you all will allow a treatment of an individual and even more of a woman to be treated that way. We are in the midst of a Me Too movement in the whole entire global nation, and here we are censoring women and being disrespectful. So I ask that our mayor, the same way he did then, and even if he didn't mean it, if he would apologize to Councilwoman Brandy Matthews for disregarding her final comment or her final question, and I ask that he do that within one of these meetings and making sure that it's clear. My other point I came for is that I came up for you guys for the public hearing of the community block grant. And in the commission meeting they did on Thursday, one of the members asked, did we get a response? Did those of us that took the time and read that 120 pages get a response from the director and then allow us to respond back? She responded, they will get it tomorrow, which meant we would get it on Friday, July the 10th, knowing that she was going to bring it to you guys on July 13th to vote on and not give us another chance to comment. So I would ask that, again, we include these types of suggestions in the process of that, because she also mentioned that some of us have no idea what we're talking about. And so I thought that was an insult to us as citizens as well. So once again, Mayor Allen, I would ask that you please apologize for censoring the voice of citizens by censoring Councilwoman Brandy Matthews.
So I have a question, particularly before you leave. Thank
Yes,
you for
ma'am.
your comments. So what should have happened is our comments were accepted, processed, a response was supposed to be made, considered, and then brought to us. But what you're saying is that response was delayed, which gave you no time to respond, which ultimately means they were not considered before we voted. Is that what you're saying? I just want to be clear on that.
Correct, because based on the question that one of the commission members asked her in this room, if you're watching, the commission member asked her, said, one of our citizens or more than one of our citizens read this 120 pages. She's like, wow, I'm impressed. She says, but were their comments responded to and given them a chance to then respond again based on that? Now, and so basically she then said, well, I'm going to be sending them the responses tomorrow, because I even commented like, no, because I haven't received anything. And then after that she says, I'm going to be sending them the responses tomorrow. But tomorrow was July 10th. Today is July 13th. She basically explained to even that commission that she had only taken very minimum amount of what we suggested and what we commented about because we were incompetent. I mean, she didn't use that exact word, but it was implied. They don't do this day to day. They don't understand this. And then she eventually even told them that though they were a commission, that they don't understand it, and it was incorrect that they're supposed to help her develop it, and that their role was not that. So in my mind, I was like, well, then what's the point of having a commission if they're not really experts to help you? Because that's what she said, well, you guys aren't really experts, so that's not your role. And then she went on to say, because my point of contact, I checked it with her, the HUD contact person, and she says that is not the case. Well, then how do I really know that that's what the HUD person told her? Is there an email record for that? Because once again, that was one of the questions I asked even in my comments. There's things that she say, I had one-on-one comments with this agency and that agency, and my question was, where is the documentation that that agency said that to you? Because I mean, I'm not accusing the woman of anything, but I'm saying any one of us can misinterpret We're human. So you could misinterpret or interpret what someone said, and it may not be the reality. So when she said, they said this, I don't know that her point of contact really said that. So I think we need to start having some email records or something showing, not just phone conversations, because any one person that's human can misinterpret what someone else says.
Well, I'm sorry that that statement, you know, it didn't sound too cool to say that you may not understand because you don't do it. You know, can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Well, actually, I am a budget analyst. I used to work for Homeland Security and NASA, so I do sometimes understand things that people don't assume I understand. I understand also as a program manager, contractor for the Navy for a few years. So I do understand how to read government documents and how to, but in this case, it doesn't even really take that much of the experience I have to understand that this is the descriptor she's giving. No, we may not understand the platform where she's putting in the numbers, but it doesn't take much to understand. That's why they even asked, if you notice, HUD would not ask for community input if they felt the community was not intelligent enough to provide it. So for her to actually say that the community was not intelligent enough to provide it was insult. And then to even say to the commission themselves when they asked about being able to help her create it, to tell them that they too were not capable, just to me, just made me like, what? Well, what's the point of having community involvement? And clearly, if you read the HUD document, not her document, but the HUD one that says this is what the community block grant is supposed to be for, it tells you, she even kept saying, it's part of the requirements to have community sessions and hearings. The point of it is because they feel like we are intelligent enough to give input, but yet she said we were not. And so I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that we did not get enough time to respond. From my understanding in Washington, your session, you guys have already voted for it again without having all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. But I more so I'm here because I really do feel like the mayor owes, and I feel like as a council, the rest of you should demand that he apologize for how he treated Councilwoman Brandon Matthews.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Do we all know the she that she's referring to in her comments? Just so we all know who she says she didn't say a name. Do we all know who she's talking about?
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Bobby Jones, Chestnut Street, Goldsboro, North Carolina. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I want to talk to you briefly about the pandemics that currently confronts us here in the city of Goldsboro. First pandemic, COVID-19, which disproportionately impacts Black and people of color. Second pandemic is that of racism, white supremacy, police brutality. I remind you that on Monday, May the 25th, 2020, a white police officer kneeled down, placing his knee on the neck of another living, breathing human being. 8 minutes, 46 seconds later, Mr. George Floyd, a Black man, breathed his last breath. During the entire 526 seconds, Mr. Floyd begged and pleaded for his life to be spared, even calling out for his deceased mother. The white police officer, a seasoned veteran, never acknowledged Mr. Floyd's plea, his cries, or even his humanity. The officer only appeared to smile as he took his last breath. However, Mr. Floyd's cries did not go unnoticed. As a matter of fact, they were heard all around the world. Moreover, that modern-day lynching has removed the covers, exposing and reminding everybody of the racism, white supremacy, and police brutality that has gone on for more than 400 years and continues, even here in our fair city. This racism, white supremacy, and unjust policing behavior have continued so long until some white people have gotten very comfortable with outwardly displaying it, without hesitation or without affording Black people equal human status, as evidenced in the following examples. Number one, the letter written by you, Councilman Aycock, during the last election. Number two, the Facebook post by your wife, Mr. Ham, during the last election. The lack of hiring of African Americans in the Goldsboro Police Department. And four, I would be remiss if I did not cite the derogatory and disrespectful fashion you, Mr. Mayor, treats Councilman Matthews and the way Councilman Williams has been treated, both who were duly elected by our community to represent us. I'm only citing four because I don't want to overwhelm you. Like it or not, these are glaring examples of racism, white supremacy, and unjust policing. But please take note of what's going on all around us. Take note of what has happened since the murder of Mr. George Floyd. The whole world is moving forward. My question to you tonight is, what will the city of Goldsboro do under your leadership? We have several choices. I'll name a couple. Do we inhale and collectively hold our breath until all this blows over, then resume to business as usual? Or do we do like others are doing, take the hard lean into addressing racism, white supremacy, and unjust policing in Goldsboro, starting right here on this council, since you're the zenith of leadership for the city of Goldsboro? I want to help. First, I'm calling for a moratorium on the hiring of any white police department staff until enough black...
Bobby, your time's up.
Okay, just go.
Okay.
Until closely, we've hired enough black police staff that reflects the demographics of the city of Goldsboro. Second, I'm recommending that the city council participate in some special in-depth racial equity training. As a member of the community, I will be glad to help. Finally, I stand before the city council tonight in the same spirit as Colin Kaepernick kneeled before America on September 1st, 2016. My prayer is that your response to me will be far different from America's response to Mr. Kaepernick. Thank you, God bless, and would you have any questions?
Mr. Jones, I just want to say thank you for coming here. I know it's not easy. I know the things that you're speaking about are tough issues, but someone has to do it. And so I really respect you coming here. Even if your voice quivers, you speak up, and I appreciate that.
Well, I love Goldsboro, and if you love something, you'll fight for it.
That's right.
Okay? I know people sitting here, Mr. Mayor, I know you very well, known you for a long time, have respected you. And like I say, I love this city, I'm willing to fight for it, and I don't mind. So if I can be of any assistance, here I am. I've done the research, and look around. Everybody around this country is doing the same thing. I don't think we have the luxury to hold our breath until this goes over. It's going to be on our front door if we fail to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
I want to talk about item J. I was listening in as you guys were reviewing the consent agenda, and you were discussing items H and I. And my name is Amari Oliver with 2 L's. I am not a part of the Oliver Design Group. I am an individual citizen that was interested in purchasing a property because I would like to help build up the city of Goldsboro for myself, for my family members. And somehow J got lumped in with H and I and was completely disregarded during the meeting. And so I just wanted to come to specify that regardless of whatever the Oliver Design Group is going to do, which I don't agree with people scrutinizing based on their, what they think they know about what someone's going to do. But nevertheless, I am not a part of the Oliver Design Group. I am an individual, and I would like for you guys to consider my bid that I put in for the property on 211 South Slocum Street.
That's all.
Thank you so much, and I'm sorry that that happened. You know, we're human, things happen like that. But right now, I want to make a motion that we accept item J, initial bid. Is there a
Second.
Is there a second?
Jinx.
And there's a second. Mr.
Any
Mayor?
discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Anybody opposed? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you
you,
for
guys.
coming.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Thank you.
To the podium, ma'am.
Does anyone object if I take my mask off to talk?
Hello, good
Hey,
evening.
I'm Donna Stevenson. I'm the person that sent you guys the long email on Sunday. And I'm here to, I don't want to read the email because it would go over my 3 minutes, but I would like to be here just so if any of you have questions or comments that you would like to ask me on why I came to the conclusions that I came to. And then I would like to give another example. So I did send an email over the weekend. Not sure how many of y'all have read it, but I was very disturbed on Friday, which prompted me to write the email because a friend of mine called me. She told me to go to the Team Goldsboro Facebook page, and there were actually emails that transpired between the mayor and the council person on social media. I come from a corporate background. I'm also in healthcare, so I have a HIPAA background, and I was totally offended that these emails were posted on a public Facebook page between 2 representatives of the city, and I want to know, did they have your permission to post them, first off?
Well, I'm going to answer that to the best of my ability. Ron, if I get this wrong, you correct me. First off, the email was between me and Randy.
Right.
Somebody did the public information request for the email. So
Okay, because if you read the letter, I actually thought that a city employee had given it to them, and that offended me even more,
no,
because you
somebody-
could see her name typed out on the Outlook thing.
Yeah, somebody requested the letter, okay? And I guess it was Team Goldsboro that requested the letter, I don't know. But whoever requested the letter then posted that up there, okay? And that's how it got.
Because personally, and you'll notice the email I typed to you said at the bottom, I do not give anybody permission to share any of this on social media. That's between you two, so I was offended, but my offense comes largely with Team Goldsboro because they use the name team, which means we're together, and Goldsboro, which is the city that I grew up in, moved away from, and call my home now, and I'm offended by the stuff I see posted on there. As a matter of fact, right before I left my house to come here, because I only live a few blocks from here, I posted a July 11th post. My suggestion to the city, and I think I explained this in my email, is there were 2 things I asked: that the page be asked to be taken down because it cannot reflect the city, and it's not certainly reflective of my views of the city, as well as other people that I know. The second thing I asked, because 3 years ago I came here and brought up a whole discussion about race with Chief West again, and we're here again talking about race and racial inequities. And I think it's a conversation we need to have. And I want to open up, I think it's a work that the city council needs to do. I actually asked if you would hire a consultant to work with you on racial inequality between the council members.
But let's give it a few more minutes, being that you had asked a question. He asked a question in the middle of her time.
3 minutes.
So,
No, we're going to give her some more time.
thank you, sir.
What I was going to say to you is, we don't have anything to do with Team Goldsboro, what they put up or don't put up. And Ron, you tell me, I don't think we can yet ask them to take their page down. Or, we don't have any authority, okay?
I would strongly suggest that maybe somebody contact them, because they're under the disguise of saying, we're not racist. These certain people that we're going after are racist. I read a post tonight that's about the racist thing I've ever read on there. Because they don't know enough about how to discuss racial inequities and racial inequalities, and they're saying things that are actually myths about racism. So, I mean, it's making our city look bad. And I did send you the link, and I hope you all watch it, with the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force discussing how they're going to talk about race with their people. And we're so concerned about keeping Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. I really don't want people to come here and perceive us as a racist, backwards. I mean, we are a small town, and I love that about us. I love that we're a small town, we have a small community, but there's some things we have to come in the 21st century about, and race and equity is one of them, especially since Goldsboro's 60% black.
That's right.
So to speak to part of your comment, I did read your email, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. You were questioning about how did they gain access to those emails, and Mayor Allen explained how that works. Anybody can do a public record request to gain that information. I guess my question is for Ron. Is there any type of policy or protocol that we have in place that when someone requests our emails that we be notified of that? I think that's important. I think when the community is asking questions about what's happening and in our emails, that we should be notified of that. So is that something that's in policy, or have we not just been following it?
I'm not aware of that being in policy, but I don't have that part of it. I handle reviewing whether or not the actual information is something that can be released. It goes through Ms. Katz first as to
her
who
point,
requesting it.
that email that she's talking about, I had no idea it was posted either. So if y'all going to send our emails out, you ought to at least tell us.
Well, normally they were. Initially, whenever they were pulling emails from me, Melissa would send me an email and say, Councilman Williams, someone has requested your emails. And I don't have a problem with that, but recently, people have requested my emails and no one's notified me at all.
Yeah.
And my other problem is I've asked for emails from our city manager, from our city attorney, and I have yet to receive those emails. But we freely give people that don't mean to do anything good with this information with no problem. That, to me, is a big problem. Why is that happening?
And are we in agreement that that's something that we need to do moving forward, is to notify us if our records, which I don't mind either, let me go on record saying that. I do not mind, but I'm just wanting to.
Can I ask a question? Is the request for information part of FOIA? The Freedom of Information
It
Act?
is.
There's a public records law.
federal.
Yes, correct, it is, but are there limitations, like you have, like, I don't know, because I know that journalists use it all the time, that's the reason I'm asking, that you would have to say the topic of, so you would want their emails pertaining to blah, blah, instead of just a dump of their emails. And which emails, I mean, did they get all their emails? I'm sorry, I'm going
I don't
way
know.
past what I wanted to talk about, because,
I mean, I thought you had to request specific emails, but I've never done that, so I don't know.
You can just request a time period if you want.
A time period?
so it doesn't have to be
But we
geared
have-
on any topic?
Well, we have a city policy that limits you to 4 hours of work, or you have to start paying for those.
And its city
Public
policy
records
changed
requests.
when I asked for information. When I asked for information, it changed. They wanted to charge me $20,000 for information that's free. So you tell me where the biasness is. So stop giving my information out. If you won't give me the information I requested.
All right.
I just want to say one thing before I step out the door.
All right.
I know that my letter might be a lot to process. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, where I get my information from or anything. I'll be happy to help.
That'll be great. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. I'm tired of this man. Tired of this man.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Sharon Matthews, and I had a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, but I kind of thought it would probably fall on deaf ears. But I really want to stress to you, Mayor Ellen, that I am deeply troubled by the way that you disrespect my daughter, Councilwoman Matthews, on the last meeting. And aside from Councilman Williams, I'm really too shocked that no other city manager or nobody else called him out on his behavior. because I remember, and I don't want to bring up the past a lot, but I remember when you supposedly acted disrespectful in a bad way, you were called out on it several times. But it bothers me that nobody seemed to call Mayor Ellen out. And Mayor Ellen, unlike what Ms. Pierce said, I don't think an apology from you at this point in time will mean anything, simply because I think you can reach my daughter, phone, text, email, and any of that, and you choose not to do that. So to publicly do it,
Repeat that?
you have access to her by an email, text message, or even a phone call.
Okay.
And you choose not to do that. So it's kind of late in the evening for somebody to beg or ask you for an apology, but you were very, very disrespectful.
Okay.
Councilman Williams, I want to ask you a question. I thought I remembered, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been some months ago, you have requested some emails.
Yes,
Okay, have you received those emails?
I haven't.
That troubles me. That brings me, thank you for answering, but it brings me up to my second most concern. My daughter's email to you, Chuck Allen, and Tim, it got on Team Goldsboro, you know that. And it bothers me that a sitting council, elected official can ask and request some emails, and you guys can't produce them. But Team Goldsboro can request some emails, and they get it right away, to make another attempt to make them look bad, the other councilmen look bad. Somebody in the city gave permission for the emails. That's how they got out. But you can't give Williams the emails that he requested. It's tacky.
Well, can I say something? I
You
don't
certainly
know how
may.
much of this is true or not true. Councilmember Williams, what he has requested is volumes of emails, not one email, okay? He has requested a ton of emails. And I don't even know where he is today on what he's gotten or hadn't gotten. I have no idea. Whoever requested the email between Brandy and I requested one email, and I don't know what the normal protocol is to do that email, but if they requested one email and they were working, I assume that was not much to do, and they went ahead and did it. Melissa, would that be halfway right? I mean, how would we, somebody had to make the email request, right?
Yes, sir.
And who does that go to?
Normally it comes to me.
Okay, and so you sent it to somebody, and they
Yes.
fulfilled the request. Is that?
Yes, if they ask for example, all emails, or if they give a specific thing like emails between a certain time period of like March and now, or it just kind of depends. We have in the past asked people to clarify what they're looking for, so it doesn't take IT as long to pull the emails. Sometimes people will clarify and other times people will not.
Because I didn't respond to Brandy's email for a reason, and that was I knew it would be public. And so I didn't want it to be public, and I didn't want my response to be public. So, but there again, you can see it didn't matter, it was public anyway. So it is what it is. If we do something between us, it's public record.
But Ms.
But-
Matthews,
I'm not
Correction.
knocking that part. However, there is in that email, your response.
Yeah,
There is.
What do you mean?
you did respond.
You responded to the email, and that was public knowledge. It was on Team Goldsboro. So though you say you did not respond, that is not true. You did respond because I read your response.
didn't respond to
Okay, well,
that
you need to go back and look. But let me ask Melissa. Melissa, so then, if I understood you correctly, that you said that it depends on what they're asking for. You're asking them what they're asking for.
Like how clear their public records request is. Like,
Who would,
I'm sorry.
okay, I got you. Who would have knowledge of Brandy and, Councilwoman Matthews and Mayor's, a request such as that?
You know.
That you would, well, since they made the request to you, is that correct?
Well, what it was, I can go back and pull their actual request, but it was emails between, I'm trying to remember the exact wording. But
It's
it
okay.
was-
They wanted emails. It's public record. They wanted emails, but the requester wanted specific information based on my emails between Mayor Allen, Councilmember Williams, Bevan Foster, Alicia Pierce, social justice. They wanted all of these emails. That was one requester. Then we had a city employee to also only request my emails and Councilmember Williams' emails dating back to January. So that's how they requested it. The previous requester, who wanted a list of emails, only wanted to see the emails starting from, I think, March.
But it still troubles me, though, that Councilman Williams asked for emails as well, and seemingly his has been put on postponement because of the length that it is.
Well, let me
It's been
clarify.
quite some
Let me
time.
clarify
Please do.
what Mr. Mayor has stated. He stated that it was lengthy. And it was lengthy, but it was legal. They changed rules, they changed our statute to charge for information, and they gave me, the city manager gave me obscene amount, dollar amount, that he know I couldn't afford. And my question is, why would you not want me to see these emails?
Exactly.
Why would you not want me to see them when it is public record? Who are you covering up for?
Right, which they tried to imply that was what Councilman Matthews was doing. But my last question to you is, I remember on a meeting too, I think it was the last meeting, that you had a question for the lawyer, the attorney. Did you get an answer to that? Because we were the public, we were privy to your question.
Well, I finally got it today. We had some problems with the emails. It was going into spam, and I was unable to open them. But I got the information today. I don't agree with what he's emailed to me, but, you know.
Okay, so you finally got it today?
Yes,
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
you're welcome. Good evening.
Hi.
To the mayor, council members, city manager, and the citizens of Goldsboro, I am Constance Coram. I am here today to speak on a few things, and of course, there's not enough time to address each of those items as needed. First, I oppose the 17% rate hike to my water bill. Currently, I pay nearly $60 a month for water usage. I do not wash my car, my grass. I attempt to limit my flushes to reduce my bill. An increase because the council made a mistake is totally ludicrous. I oppose the recent budget approval. You, the council, promised an audit and total transparency while you were running for your current positions. Now you refuse the audit, you refuse to be transparent. Ham, you promised town hall meetings to listen to the voices of District 5. To date, not one word about that since you've taken office. Your budget, which Ms. Gwynn openly admits contains many errors that does not include her monthly errors. I'm opposed to the fact that she brought her own staff, replacing members of this community who had the rights to obtain those 2 positions she filled from Lenore County. I have been attending and or watching the council meetings for years, and never have I heard mention of the Friends of Seymour. As a citizen of this community, I demand an explanation about the $80,000 a year that you have given to to them for the last 5 years. I respect the fact that Ms. Gwynn refused not to include that information in your new budget. Thank you, Ms. Gwynn, for acknowledging that information and getting yourself involved and not getting yourself involved into cover-ups. I oppose the fact that employee Shacole Simpson Carter continues to violate the rules governed by your own personal procedures, City Manager, as she uses her office providing information on social media to influence her opinions to this community. If she could find funding for the inner city that she is paid to represent and less to the downtown development and stay off social media during work hours, she might be worth the position she now holds. Lastly, Mayor, you may be accustomed to treating women with disrespect as you have shown Ms. Williams and others. But as a woman, I refuse to watch you disrespect your own fellow colleague, and doing nothing about it is an atrocity. I believe you should provide a full apology for your disrespectful actions to Councilmember Brandy Matthews. Each of you won your election stating you would represent the people, and you are not. Heck, ACOG, you came to a recent council meeting within your 14-day quarantine, not sure whether or not you have the coronavirus, just to ensure that you cast your vote, and you came without a mask. By the way, Ms. Director of Community Affairs, the virus is prevalent in the inner city. Not one dime, not one food drive, no testing from your department, really? No, this injustice must stop. Black lives do matter.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How y'all doing, sir?
Doing well. It's good to see you, sir. We haven't seen you in quite some time.
Yeah, I've been kind of busy at some things. But I'm here today to try to come to y'all with I feel that it's a major matter. As some of you may know, all you may know, I'm Thomas Rice. I'm with MLFL, Miracles Love for Life. We work with homeless veterans and homeless people. It had been told to me that we won't do no positive things in the city of Goldsboro and for Wayne County. So I'm going to stress a few things that we have accomplished in our quest to try to help the homeless and work with them and everything. And, you know, like on July the 15th, we were incorporated. On February 17th, MLFL received this register as a HUD Section 3 business, and we are one of only 2 of the Section 3 businesses in Wayne County. October, we were awarded our certificate of achievement from the NC Local Assistance Program at NC State University and the Federal Highway Commission, where we can train and instruct people to be traffic flaggers or work zone supervisors and stuff of that nature. We also partnered with Wayne Community College to get people training and get the National Career Readiness Certificate. We're affiliated with East Point, New Regional Housing, and NC Water and Environmental Control. We are trying to do something that it seems that has been done and need to be done. We're trying to do a medical shelter for the unsheltered homeless. And basically, we'd like the city to come chip in with us. Because one reason, as FEMA has told us and everything, and others have said, the majority of the homeless people live within the city limits of Goldsboro. There are some in the county, and I'm gonna go to the county with this too, because I think we all need to come together and work together and do this. But we want to do an unsheltered, non-congregated housing thing with medical thing there. So we're attempting to do that, and I would like for, like I said, the city to help us. Because we have to look at the matter that even though they're homeless, disabled, had disadvantages, they are still human. They are still citizens of this city, of this state. And therefore, the Constitution and the rights and all that the government and law put down is meant for them also.
What do you plan on the location being at?
We're gonna do it out there behind my office, which is located at on Highway 117. We have like 4 or 5 acres out there. We're gonna park RV campers out there. And Duke Energy has said that they will give power for it for 120 days. We would like for the city to do the water and sewer for us for a period of time. We're not asking you to do it the whole time, but for a period of time to get us going. And
You think you'd be willing to help some of the homeless people that are on Center Street? I mean, I live on Center Street, and every day I come outside, I see them here, and you know, we need someone to help them.
I'm willing to help all homeless people. I have a couple here with me tonight that's going to speak to y'all also. and verify that I do everything that I can in my power with the resources that I have to help homeless. I mean, no matter whether they're white, black, Mexican, or what, I don't look at that. And, you know, it makes me feel like when I can't get other entities of the local government to come in with me, I wonder,
So you
why
need,
I can't do this for me? Is
So
it
you
because
need-
we're a black-ran organization?
no, not from my perspective. You need sewer and water for a short time frame. That will help you.
I mean, we don't look for the city to just furnish it to us the whole time because we just looking for this to get started, to get off and get going. And as things get going, we will be able to get some finances and get things going. But we're gonna need the water and sewer for the hookup for the RV. Cause we're gonna try to have we're gonna have a medical trailer out there. So when we take these people in, we're gonna examine them, and that way we'll know how to classify them and how to put them in, what area to put them in, how to isolate them, and how to quarantine them, and work with them. Because they need help. Because if you let them stay out there unattended, they're gonna be transporters. They can become infected and be transporters of this virus.
Mr. Acock, how you feel about what he's saying? How do you feel about what he's saying?
Oh, I commend him very dearly, and if I can help with the water and the sewer, you know, he's gonna have to pay tap fees, and I'll pay the tap fees on the water.
Well, the city has a water line that comes right through the middle of our property, of my property, right through the dead hot middle that goes all the way under the
Well,
railroad.
the first problem you got is your whole property's in the floodplain, okay? So that's the first red flag you got right there, is how you gonna do that in the floodplain. All right, the second thing is, you gotta have a plan with FEMA and with the county. And if you ever get a plan, then people can help you. But coming up here and doing this is not gonna get you a plan. You gotta figure out who's gonna be your lead person. Is it the county? Is it East Point? I mean, there are all kinds of people that are already doing stuff for homeless. Are we doing enough? No, but there are people doing it, right? But you need to come down here and talk to our planning department, because I'm 98% sure they're not gonna let you do what you're trying to do anyway, unless we figure out a way around that,
Why is that?
because it's in the floodplain, and FEMA won't let you go in there.
But just like you doing over there on Iron Bridge Road, we can build it up.
Well, if you can build it up 8 feet, then.
So that's what I'm saying. We need to come together and help. It can be done, but we just have to do
Well,
it.
anything can be done if you have enough money to
Right.
do it, right? I mean, but what I'm trying to tell you is, there's probably a lot better somewhere else, some place to do it. I might be wrong, I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, you gotta have a workable plan that I don't think today you have. How do we help you get a plan?
Well, FEMA we are already negotiating. We have been approved as FEMA recipients, and we're gonna get the trailers from FEMA. So,
And I'm not saying you're not, but where are you gonna put them?
on my lot down there, we're gonna build it up and put them in there.
All right, well, great, that's perfect.
But that's why I'm saying I'm coming to y'all because we need help. I can't do this alone. We can't do this alone. And like I said, you know, the homeless people, as FEMA has stated to us, it's the responsibility of the city of Goldsboro, the one that reside in this city. The one that reside in the county is the responsibility of Wayne County. And so I'm going to
I'll tell
them.
you this, it's cheaper, easier, and whatever on us, if we were gonna do anything, to go rent them a hotel room. I mean, I'm just telling you very honestly. I mean, you know, you're talking about millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're not talking about anything that's cheap.
I know we ain't talking about anything cheap, but I don't feel that it would cost over $1 million.
Maybe you're right.
You probably know how much it costs to come up 8 feet.
I don't feel it would cost over $1 million. But the thing about it is that we must make an effort. And the longer we wait, the longer we talk, the more the homeless people
Well, you know
are being
what?
put up.
Why don't you get in touch with our community relations director? She has some houses that aren't being used in the city of Goldsboro. And until you can work on that area, If there's some houses that are available and they're vacant, not used, contact her and see what's available, because we need these homeless people helped. That's just no question about that.
Really?
And we need somebody that's willing to take the time to do that. Most people are not going to take the time to do that. So at least get in contact with her, see what property she may have available, then come back to us, the council, and let us know what was discussed. And we'll go from there.
And you probably ought to talk to
Okay.
the Salvation Army too, because they're doing work in that same area.
Yeah, I've talked with them.
You know, they're new here now, but
Yeah.
maybe you can get some dialogue with them too, since the new people coming in wanting to do something, maybe. I don't know.
But don't-
Okay.
But don't forget what I said, sir. I definitely, I'm glad that you're willing to help people.
All right, I appreciate that. That's what we need, and I will get it done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
You too, sir.
Stay safe.
Yes,
You
sir.
too, thank you.
You know exactly where the location is.
What?
You know exactly where the location is. You know exactly where the location is.
Oh, yeah.
How are you, sir?
How you doing?
Good to see you today.
How's it going?
It's going okay.
I was wanting to talk a little bit on the homeless and stuff like that, about how we could help them. I mean, what all programs we got. If we ain't got none, can we come up with more? I'm with the organization MLFL, and they've helped me, but now I kind of want to help him help others too. And like, there's so many homeless that's on the streets that, because of the corona, lost their jobs, down on their luck, out on the streets. We got tent cities everywhere. What can we do about this to help? This is what I really want to know. And
It starts with somebody like yourself that's, exposing that there is a need. Because a lot of times, we tend not to think of people, we're just concerned with our own self, our own family, unless it's right at your front door, and I'm glad that you're bringing it to our front door, to the city of Goldsboro's front door, so that we can start to work on that. It's definitely a need. I've been homeless, so I know what it is.
I mean, I'm getting to help however I can, because it helped me. And now Corona hit, and more people's getting put on the street and stuff like that. I mean, I think we're going to get that kind of situated, because we are like the community and everything. I don't even know how many homeless people we have here, but I just think we'd be able to do something about that a little bit better. I know it takes money, it takes time, but might as well start on it more than what we have.
Sir, I want to commend you, first of all, for coming out, and one recommendation, I don't know if your organization does this, but I was able to go out with the Salvation Army about 3 months ago, and we surveyed a lot of areas, went through the woods across from Domino's on Royal Avenue, actually with surveys, seeing what the need, what caused, them to be in this situation. Because unfortunately, you have a lot of people that are not homeless, that are using the homeless platform, that are getting money. I've heard several. I live on Mulberry Street. You see the guys there in front of the health department. I know where 2 of those guys actually live. And they're, and it's making it hard for the true homeless people that are out here in our community. I mean, for the past 2 weeks, about a month ago, I was feeding about 10 guys that were living under the driveway at the Rite Aid. People that are truly homeless. I was one taking food to those people. But the people that you see panhandling, for lack of better words, are making it hard for the people that actually are in these tents, have babies in the woods. I've seen it, and it's frustrating to me. I want to help the people that genuinely have a need. And we speak especially of veterans, people that fought for the country. I mean, how is it those people are being overlooked, and people that are just wanting to collect money for beer or drugs? And I've actually heard people in the store that did not realize I was in the store say that I've made $500 off these foods today. One of the guys that sits at the corner of the health department heard out his mouth. He didn't realize I was in the store. So I take issue, and I really want to help the people that are sincerely in need. And anything I can do, let me know, man, because, I mean, it's an epidemic.
Those people holding those signs.
Yeah.
Okay, shouldn't they get checked occasionally to see if they actually are homeless, just by running a name? I mean, because there is a lot of people that are homeless, you know, some of it's their fault, some of it ain't.
Right.
But like a better way to check up on it, because, look, technically, I'm homeless myself.
Yes, sir.
But I get out and I volunteer
Right.
every day. You know, I have a little bitty camper that's beat up, but it's a roof over my head.
Yes, sir.
But nonetheless, I still go out every day. Help the commissioner, pro Marty, help him out. I just try to do everything I can, really.
Well, I respect you, man, for your advocacy for it. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your
That place
comments,
where
sir.
MLFL is, it'd be a good site, a good place, because there's plenty of room in the back. I mean, it ain't gonna be no Kansas City or nothing like that, because if you got a place like that, you gotta have order.
Right.
You know, nurse station, security, and stuff like that. Just helping people out, getting them a job, kind of like transit type place, or transformation place, or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
But, all right, I appreciate y'all's time.
Yes, sir.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you so much, and God bless you
Stay
as
safe.
well.
brother.
I will.
And things are gonna get better.
Oh, one day at a time, one day at a time.
Yes, sir.
To the podium, man.
Hello.
Hi, how are y'all?
Good to see you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Kim, and I come to speak on the being homeless, and I'm sorry, this is all new to me. I'm getting help with Mr. Thomas, the one that came in before him, and I'm glad that he's helping me because I've been homeless probably about 2 years, but I didn't choose to be homeless because I didn't choose to be homeless by drugs or anything like that. I lost my home because my daughter ran away from home when she was 16, and she was cutting herself and trying to commit suicide. I lost my home because of that. But I did decide to make my life better by going to school. I am a student. I go to college. I do all my classes online. I'm an A+ honor student. I am on the president's list, and I have a 4.0 grade point average. I am very proud of myself for doing that. I am in the process of trying to look for land for myself as well to build a campground site for the community. It's a unique campground site. It's different than anything else. I would like to build it as tiny homes to actually help others, or to have like maybe some kids come to us so they can not be on the streets as well, so not be on drugs or anything else like that. And our little tiny homes are going to be designed out of roosters and kettles, and I'd like to call it the rooster's kettle, but that's on down the line when my school gets finished with, hopefully. But other than that, I'm not here because I'm homeless due to my drugs or any drugs that I've done, because I don't do drugs. But I have been homeless for quite a while. And I'm hoping that this will help us with helping others that, even if they are on drugs, we can help them get off of it, help kids that could not be on the streets, help them with some medical issues they may have, and to just help the people that need, and I don't have a job either. I'm looking for one. It's very hard because you don't have the resources to help. Like if you were not homeless, you would be able to do more when you are at home and than you would do when you're out on the streets. It's hard to get baths, it's hard to get food, it's hard to get medical help. It's hard to get a lot of things. And I'm not proud of where I'm at, but I am proud of me not being on drugs and me trying to be going to school and helping myself. But it's not easy being homeless because it's hard to do, like I say, all the stuff that you could do at home than where you can't do at home than where you were on the streets. But I'm just hoping this will help it, and so we can help others, because some of them aren't on drugs and some of them don't do that stuff. And they want to better themselves, and we want to help them better themselves to do that. So I'm hoping that we can get this
Well, I'm proud
accomplished.
of you. Wow, I'm so proud of you,
Appreciate it.
because you could be mad at the world, but you seem like you have a beautiful spirit.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate that so much. I mean, people don't understand that, sometimes circumstances happen and you become homeless. It's not that you're a bad person. It's not that you even doing drugs, like you just said. It's just circumstances. They happen, but just, I see great things for you. And if I could say something, if you can get in contact with Wages, it's on Royal Avenue, and they have some resources available. And we also have community relations here. And if you can You can contact Community Relations because they help people who are displaced too. And I'm sure you're deserving to have a nice place of your own.
Thank you.
You know?
I like others to do as well because like I said, I've never been in this situation until now, and I'm for about a year and a half now, and I'm like, you never know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I've never been in this predicament, so I never knew where to go and what to do.
And you probably can help his program better once you get yourself established.
And I'm glad Mr. Thomas can help me because, and Mr. Shaw, he can help as well. They've been helping me. I've done 4 days, I believe. I've met them about 4 days ago, and they've done tremendously helping me. I think we can help others as well if we can just get it done.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and great things are going to happen.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I have one question. Did I hear you say something about tiny homes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just want to assure you, I'm working on something right now. I didn't want to come too prematurely, want to do more research.
Yes, sir.
But that's one of the things that I envision for the city.
Yes, sir. I like it.
Tiny home communities, container homes.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you're familiar with that. I want you to look at a video on YouTube called Detroit Tiny Homes.
Okay.
Something similar to what I'm trying to bring here. So I want you to know that your voice is being heard, and that's something that I'm actually trying to look at as far as doing for the community.
I'm sorry. I'm in construction. I can build them things. I know how to do it, and I know how to build them. I can work. I just can't find the work. Plus, also the COVID-19 has cut my job completely, and I've not really been able to work and find work due to that. That's really another thing that's hurt me the most because I can't find any work. And plus, I'm a woman, and I'm in construction, and I can do it. I know how to build it, and I know how to...
That's right.
I mean, some people can, but I can do it, and others can too if they put their mind to it. But
So if people needed to locate you, to give you a helping hand, how could they locate you?
my name is Kim Vick. I'm on Facebook by Kim Vick. You can meet Mr. Thomas, and I'm also with him, or at his piece where they stand at right now. Mr. Thomas, you can get up with me by him as well.
Do you have an email?
I do. It's Kim V, like a Victor, A, 42 at iCloud.com.
So if anybody sees this, Kim, she isn't scared to work.
No,
She's trying to better her life. If you have some help, some resources, please get in contact with her. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kim,
Stay safe out there.
God bless you.
Kim, what was that email address again?
It's KIM, V like a Victor, A like an apple, 42 at iCloud.com.
iCloud.
iCloud.
Okay.
I got a phone number here if you need to contact me if you like that. Area code 252-285-3597. Contact me anytime.
So proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, bless you.
Good evening, sir. How you doing, bro? All right.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Battle.
How you doing, Mr. Williams?
How you, sir?
All right. How y'all gentlemen doing?
All right, sir.
I'm Mr. Battle. Of course, I'm sure y'all remember me from the Elks Lodge, the Black Elks Lodge on James Street. I have some concerns. My concerns are, I've been requesting paperwork, I do know from 2008, haven't received it. I have called city manager's office and the mayor's office requesting the paperwork just here recently. Got a portion of it, most of it's incomplete.
Paperwork for what?
I'm getting ready to tell you. Okay. In 2008, which I came before this board in 2007, conditional use, full ABC permits denied. Came back 2008 with no ABC permits, just conditional use denied again. I made a statement, I told the ones that was laughing, that worked with the city, I told them I will be back every Black History Month, which is February. If you look at paperwork, that's when it was. Okay. 2008, when I came for the board and was turned down, by August of 2008, all my utilities was cut. Electric, water, everything cut. Took me 2 years just to get my utilities restored. I had to jump through all of these hoops. Several hoops. Had to go back and get my site plans redone, all this here stuff. It was unnecessary. If I could, I would like to get all the paperwork from that time because I do know it was not right. Now, I internalize a lot, but enough is enough. There's a lot of wrongdoing going on around here, and y'all know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's all about inclusion here. Accountability. And you need to be accountable for what you do, what you see, all of that. I know for a matter of fact, right after my utilities were turned off in August, in September, the very next month, Ed Farrow, whatever his name is, called me early that morning on September. I think it was September 11th to be a matter of fact. They called me and tell me they kicked in my doors and they turned my house up. There's 2 houses right down there on George. They destroyed them. And then they're going to tell me it's going to cost me $5,000 to maintain ownership, which I paid the $5,000 because you were not going to get my properties. Now, I want to know, if the council member would please allow me to get my paperwork. I've been trying for a very long time. Now's the time.
What's the property address?
Excuse me?
What property are you talking about?
1302, 1304. And the assistant city manager, he was in the planning committee at that time. He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
What street?
Yes. They destroyed them. They tore out the ceilings, tore the floors up, destroyed, and I had to pay, on top of that, I had to pay $5,000 just to maintain ownership. And a lot of that's been going on. When I got down there on James Street back in 2006, there was houses running all the way from Pine to Elm, from Elm going back up to James. Every house in that area from 2006 that I've been down there have been destroyed, been tore up, broken into, fire, and I don't think it's from the community. Because they broke in my house.
Mr. Battle?
Yes.
Could you be a little more specific when you say paperwork?
The paperwork, well, I've been requesting paperwork why this was done. There was no cease and desist order. Why was my power cut off, water, everything, all my utilities cut? Took me 2 years just to get the utilities restored there. And I went through that punishment. But like I said, I internalized a lot, but enough is enough.
When's the last time you checked on this or tried to get anything?
The last time I talked to, what's his name?
Randy Guthrie?
No, not him.
Alan
In managing, I talked to Alan. I talked to Alan just in January. He still never gave me the paperwork. I talked to Mr. In planning, Towson. Talked to Mr. Towson, still never got the paperwork. Talked to the city manager's assistant that answered the phone, the receptionist, still never got the paperwork.
Do we know if there's a reason why he's not getting this? Do we know?
I don't know what we're trying to
Still
do.
trying to figure out specifically what you're asking for. Paperwork from '08?
From
Paperwork
08,
last year?
well, I want to know why my utilities were cut in 08. It took me, and then I couldn't even go through CP&L and get power restored there because they said I got to go back through the city in order to get power restored on a building that I bought in 06. I know when I bought the building in 06, I know the city had a lien on it, and I know they wanted that property very, very bad.
But
it was sold to me, and I don't feel like I need to take the blunt of that.
Was the property not up to code? Do you know?
The property, there's no code violations on the property.
Okay.
On three.
The power off then? And the water?
Why they cut the power off?
Yeah.
That's what they claim, okay, from what I can understand, they claim there was some shooting around there, but that had nothing to do with me. You might hear gunshots anyway. That had nothing to do with me, but they're gonna have my power cut off at the old Black Elks Lodge on James Street in 2008. Took me, like I said, 2 years. I had to suffer for 2 years there with no utilities at all. Now, you tell me, is that right?
Let's just get the paperwork.
I don't know, let us find the paperwork.
Have you
Let us
sent-
check
have
it
you
out.
sent-
Can we get something in writing? I mean, to know exactly what he's asking for, other than '08, why the water was cut
Well, I
off?
can tell you, Ed Farrow had a personal vendetta, is what it is. That's all it was.
I'm just trying to help you, sir. Whatever you specifically want, you could let us know. We'll look.
Why all this was done.
All of what?
the simple fact that why my utilities were cut at 312 South James Street. Okay,
Wait a minute, I thought it was 1302.
1302 and 1304 was when that was the very next month after my utilities were turned off at the lodge down here. They broke into my property. He called me that morning, about 7 o'clock
And
that
that's
morning.
the 3 what?
Excuse me?
3, what was that address?
312 South James?
312 is where they had the power turned off. It took me 2 years to get the power restored there. But I'd already been through the council trying to get a conditional use there for 2 years in a row.
Okay, so are you looking for information on 312?
I'm looking for
1302?
1302, 1304.
Okay.
That's what I've been talking to Al. I've been talking to all of them about this right here. And they, for some reason, why they won't give it to me, I don't know.
Okay, well, if you'll leave Melissa your contact information, when you leave, we'll get into it. Because we don't have any idea.
Can you send me an email with everything that you're requesting too?
I sure will, because like I said, this is uncalled for, and I feel just like if I was, at that time, if I was a 43-year-old white Caucasian, none of this would have never happened. It would have never happened. That's just how I feel about it. It's gonna take me 13 and a half years just to get a conditional use permit on a property that I bought in 2006. And the city wanted the property at that time. I mean, it don't make sense.
All right, sir, well, we'll work on it.
I appreciate it.
We'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Hey, yeah, Melissa, get his phone number, please.
Henry Val Jr. Telephone number 919-273-6786. Appreciate it.
Thank you. What's his first name? What was his first name?
Henry Battle, was it?
Henry Battle. Henry?
All right. How y'all doing today?
Good evening, sir.
Matt Whittle, Executive Director, Habitat for Humanity. I'm also one of the co-facilitators, co-advocates for Wayne Forward. Wanted to come and talk for just a brief moment about the comprehensive, or the consolidated plan and the annual action plan, the 2024 and the 2021 plans. We, of course, Carl Martin was one of the first speakers, explained a little bit about what Wayne Forward is and that we were working with legal aid to promote grassroots involvement in this process. And so what we did was, once the original draft was released, we held 2 virtual community meetings, as well as a series of surveys with folks throughout the community that provided the input for the letter that was then sent to Shaikol, Simpson Carter, as well as to the commission, and as well as to all of y'all. And if you've had a chance to read that, I hope so. If not, please take some time to read that. Like Mr. Martin said, it's not a perfect plan. Now, I'm personally not going to stand here today and urge you to vote against or for it. It is where it is in the point in the process. But we all know, looking at it, whether you agree with much of it or not, we know it's not a perfect plan. We know there's still lots of work that needs to be done in the community. And so what I wanted to draw your attention to in the comments that we provided are a couple things that sort of go beyond just these plans and just this one-year action plan or just this next 5-year consolidated plan, and really to the need to develop a comprehensive plan, something that I think has been talked about here by the council in the past, but a comprehensive plan for the community, for the city that addresses housing, affordable housing, and development. We encourage the council to bring in stakeholders such as Wayne Forward, Habitat for Humanity, Rebuilding Broken Places, the Goldsboro Housing Authority, and others in that discussion in a formal, regular sort of way. We've had a lot of informal discussions over the years, but would love to see this done in a much more formal, much more regular, sustainable fashion. And then, along with that, we urge the city to consider, we know it's not in the cards, of course, for this year's budget, but to consider some additional staff for the community development, community relations department, to focus on these issues of housing and development. It's a big task. It's a lot that needs to be done here in the community. Shaikol does a lot. She does a good job with much of what she does, but she is only one person. She does have a small staff over there, and it does require the attention, larger attention to be given to it. So those are in that 10-page document. We had about 20 or so suggestions I'd love to sit down with each of you and talk more about those, but those three in particular, the need for that affordable housing comprehensive plan is something that I think that would go a long way to addressing everything else that we submitted in that, and moving forward, issues of homelessness, minimum housing, a lot of things have been even brought up tonight could be addressed a lot easier through that comprehensive plan. So I see my 3 minutes are up. I don't take too much more of y'all's time, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them real quick.
Any questions of Matt?
Give me a call and set up a time that we can sit down and talk.
Matt, thank you for your comments. They were well written and done.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say, I read them and were very detailed and very interesting.
Thank you. Like I said, again, all those were all informed by residents and other stakeholders in the community. So they're not my comments only. I agree with much of them, but they are informed by residents throughout the city. So,
Thanks, Matt.
thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Come on to the podium, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Devin Golden. I live right here on Patrick Street. I've noticed the crime has went down, which is a good thing, but there's a lot of noise disturbances. I've had prostitutes come to my door at 3 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, I work on Lionel Street at Piggly Wiggly. I get that the police are going through a rough time. Their job now is more dangerous than ever. Can something be done about any of this? I mean, what can I do? You got people playing loud music to where I can't sleep, and I got kids and I do have a fiance. I was walking down Mulberry Street, and there was a man that grabbed my girlfriend. Me and her are walking, which, panhandlers, they can get aggressive, and I believe that's against the law, aggressive panhandling. I just wanted to speak about it and see if there's anything that, what do I need to do? What can I do?
And you live where?
On Patrick Street, sir, right by the post office.
And are you walking to the work?
Yes, sir.
to Piggly Wiggly?
I walk to work. I drive, but I prefer to walk to work.
I've seen him walking.
Oh, that's a pretty rough area, that's for sure. We know that, we talk about that, we're working on that, but, all we can do is just try to keep
Right.
rounding people up. Taj and I rode through there the other day, and it's rough. I agree.
This is the young man that I was referring to, calling me with the Gallagher, the Noahs.
Yeah.
And Patrick Street ain't right around the corner from my house. I mean, it's quite a couple blocks down.
I could hear
But
the
he
music.
could hear, he called me
Yeah, we're
the next day telling me that he heard the
Yeah,
Noahs, so.
We're gonna work on that,
That's something that we just got to
because that's something we should be able to stop.
And it usually happens about every weekend, just about. I do work the weekends from 10 to 9. When I get off, I'm tired. My kids are already in bed, but, they wake up crying, and I'm trying,
What time do they usually play the music too?
anywhere from 9 at night to 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And I've actually went to their house, and they get mad at me when I ask them, can you turn it down just a little bit? I wasn't being rude or nothing else. There are people trying to sleep, and I thought that there's like a noise rule kind of thing after a certain time.
It's 11 o'clock noise ordinance, so we're gonna try to see if we can't push that.
I've also noticed, this was the last place that, my dad was in. I've just noticed a lot of racial hate here. And I've also, I just stated myself about that. Is there anything being done about that?
About what?
The racial thing going on now?
Well, there's tons of conversation, that we're trying to figure out a plan. But that might not be a good answer, but, to give you a concrete answer, I don't think we have one. Except we realize it's an issue.
So too, he asked for some action steps, so can we offer him any advice? Should he call the police? Should he, we didn't really give him any answers.
I think anytime you need to call 911, you call 911. And
Yeah, I don't think it's safe to probably go to someone's door. You know, you just don't know what their mindset might be.
Right. And,
But,
you know, I do carry, and I don't want to carry. It's not my choice. But with the way this area is, I feel like that I have to carry.
Yeah, because if you don't, it's just gonna continue.
Right.
To go, I mean, it's, you know, we say all the time, you clean up one house, and that's.
It's gonna be at another house, I
that's,
get
you know,
that.
But you gotta stay on it. And I think
Just call 911.
Yeah.
And I'm not one for speaking in front of people, it's just, you know, it gets to me, you know.
I think you need to have a relationship, who's his council member?
I am, that's what I call it.
Okay, so
Call it
Taj,
every time there's an issue.
and just, worry him to death, that's okay. It'll be fine.
So did you contact the police? Did they respond?
Yes, sir, but they're really, you know, they asked them to turn down the music and, you know, the police left. And then they turn it right back up when the police leave. They wait, you know, about 10, 15
Well,
minutes.
and it's the same thing with the hookers over there. They go over there and they disperse them, and then they ride around the corner and they're right back in there. I mean,
I've had them come to my house 3 o'clock in the morning, knocking on my door. I don't know who they are. They don't know who I am. I don't know what their intent is. And then they're trying to, you know, get in the house. And my fiance's, you know, she's getting upset. I don't know who these people are. So yes, I do feel intruded almost. When I call the police, they ask them to leave, and, you know, it's like they send somebody else to come to my door.
Well, you keep calling the police. I mean, that's at least a good start. And we already are looking into the whole area, so we'll continue to do that.
And to address what he's saying too, you missed this too, the assembly outside, I think it's supposed to be no greater than 25. The same night that I spoke with him, well, the next day, they're having functions at particular locations that have over 50 people. So the enforcement of the restriction of 25, I think it needs to be looked at too. I mean, I don't know how we can deal with telling them once they're over that, but I mean, that's also contributing to the spread of COVID.
Yeah.
When you're having backyard boogies, that's 50, 60 people deep, you know? Right. That needs to be something that's enforced more, in my opinion, because literally it's in my backyard, and I made the same mistake he did. I heard the music, I walked myself around the corner in the midst of 50 people and was getting kind of confrontational because it's in my backyard. I mean, we want to be asleep at 2 in the morning. I go to bed late, but I'm asleep most nights before 2.
When it's nighttime, I'm in bed at night.
So
when I get off, I go straight home. Anything that goes after at least 10 o'clock is not good in my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I know the chief's listening to this, so we'll
keep
talk
working
about
on
it.
it.
Thank you.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. I'm here for a couple of things. One, I'm here because I would like for the June minutes that you guys just approved to go back and be amended. They are incorrect. I feel that it minimizes my voice, because when I came to you guys in June, I talked about a lot. I talked about COVID-19, I talked about the businesses downtown that was suffering, we talked about George Floyd, and we talked about racism. We talked about a lot. Yet I was minimized to Yvonnia shared concerns regarding the termination of the program implemented for the downtown businesses that were doing takeout during COVID-19, and her issues being addressed to Councilman Member Williams rather than herself, who shared the concerns. That sounds ignorant. That, and so far from what I said, when I came in, I addressed all of you, and I thought you listened. So I would like for that to be corrected. Please, I think you handled that, Melissa. I'd like for that to be corrected and added, because it's not only is it misleading, it is minimizing the importance of what I said. And I think, especially in the times that we're in, we need to be very cautious and conscious of what we're doing. And it doesn't seem that this council does that. The next thing I want to talk about is Juneteenth. I don't think some of, let's just be honest, the white counterparts that sit on this council really know what Juneteenth is. Because if you truly knew what Juneteenth was, Juneteenth, you would start with your actions. You can't minimize us to just passing some holidays because it becomes words on a paper. Start with your actions. If you want to really say to this community that our Black lives matter and our Black voices matter, first, Mr. Aycock, you should start with apologizing for that racist letter you wrote last year during the council elections. You should start there. Then you should also probably start with how you spoke to Councilmember Matthews at the budget meeting. You all should start with an apology to Mr. Williams and how you have treated him, jumping on a bandwagon with false information to further perpetuate stereotypes as a Black man who's lazy. Matter of fact, it was Mr. Hams, your wife. He's lazy, he needs a job, he's threatening people. All of that was debunked and proven to be a lie. So again, if our Black lives matter and our Black voices matter, show it with your actions. Because here's what, you look at your body language. We come up here and we speak. We write letters, we have meetings, all of that, and you all ignore us. Your actions speak loud and clear even now. Mr. Salmon, you look down at your paper. Mr. Broadway, you look down. You all never look at us. Your actions say so much. My concern is the city of Goldsboro is becoming morally bankrupt. Morally bankrupt. And it's sad. It's very sad because no, I was not born here and I was not raised here. My mother left here because she said she wanted her children to have every opportunity available to them. And she was quite upset and concerned for me coming back to a small town, southern state, that I would deal with the issues she had to deal with as a young girl growing up. And you know what? She wasn't wrong. It's a beautiful community. The majority of people are on the same page, but there's that small group that we're seeing across America that's pushing this agenda and it's not helping anyone. So if you want to do something, all of you want to do something, because what you white gentlemen don't understand is what it's like to be a Black man in America. There's only 2 men in the room that know what that is. There's only 2 Black women in the room right now that know what it's like to be a Black woman in America. You all do not. Educate yourself. But educate yourself and do it with your actions, not just words on the paper. Don't disrespect us like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody left? Do we know? David, you see anybody else out there? That's it? Great. All right. We'll move on to public hearings. And there's public hearing B, Jennifer, she's coming?
She's here.
Tell her to come on in. Jennifer, is anybody out there?
The applicant's present. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Item B, the public hearing for tonight is CU 520, Mr. Copeland at 110 East Mulberry Street, which is directly across the street here. Subject property is located on the north side of each Mulberry Street between Center Street and John Street. The applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a place of entertainment, and we refer to that as paint and play with an ABC for brown bagging. The zoning is Central Business District, and the applicant has proposed to upfit an existing one-story, roughly 1,700 square foot concrete commercial building for the operation of a paint and play facility. Since the site is located within the historic district, any exterior improvements to the buildings will require to receive a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic District Commission. The property was previously occupied as a church. As previously stated, the applicant is requesting to operate a paint and play facility within an existing building and allow customers the option of brown bagging at the facility. Activities such as painting lessons and paint parties will be available on site. Brown bagging would be limited to a 6-pack of beer or 1 bottle of wine per customer. The applicant's floor plan indicates a painting area to include no more than 6 tables to accommodate a maximum of 15 occupants, including an office space and a restroom. Hours of operation are Tuesday through Saturday, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., with 1 employee. The Unified Development Ordinance specifies that required parking standards would not apply in the Central Business District within an area bounded by the south side of Ash Street, the east side of George Street, the north side of Chestnut Street, and the west side of William Street. Since the subject property is located within this area, no off-street parking is required. And the applicant will utilize rollout carts for garbage collection purposes. At this time, there is no action necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the council meeting on August 3rd. And this is just a picture, it's this property in question. Any questions for staff? The applicant is present, if you have any questions for him.
Jennifer, is there anybody out there to speak for this?
The applicant is present, yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll let him know to come in if you're ready.
And he'll need to be sworn in.
Does he want to speak, or are they asking him to speak?
If you will raise your right hand and place the left on the Bible. You want to affirm you can do that as well. Do you swear the comments you're about to provide are the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, can you give him up to the podium?
How y'all doing? My name is Kiapa Copeland. First, I'd like to commend everybody in here for doing good work for the city and all. I've been watching some videos of y'all work, and y'all really do have a stressful job. But also, I would like to bring a paint and play, more like art facility downtown, since there's a lot of art stuff downtown. And it's going to be set up to where I'm going to have a max of 12 to 15 people, and it will be brown bagging. I will not be selling alcohol or providing it, but if someone was to bring a beer or a wine, that would be up to them, their choice. I'm trying to think, but make sure I ain't leaving nothing out. I think that's it. Do anybody have any questions, or?
So, Ms. Cope, it's going to be similar, basically, it's like a wine and design type.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
It's just like that, different
Gotcha.
title.
Okay. It'd be a nice addition.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you just stepping into the arena of business here downtown. We need any business, every business that wants to come here, we welcome them. So, welcome to the community on my behalf.
Thank you.
Good.
That's it. All right, thank y'all. Y'all have a nice day and be safe.
You might just, well, there's nobody else out there, right? We gotta have, let me just open the public hearing. This is a public hearing for ZU 5020, Keno Kaplan. Subject property is located on the north side of East Mulberry Street. Would anybody like to speak? Can you check Jennifer and see if anybody wants to speak?
You might tell them about 24 hours.
I saw about 5 policemen out there. Okay. All right, in that case, we're gonna close this public hearing and we'll move on to the next. Thank you, and it goes before the planning commission, their next meeting, and then it'll come back here, okay?
All right.
All right, and Jennifer can give you those dates.
All right, thank
Okay?
you.
All right, thank you, good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Consent agenda,
Yes, sir. Before we get to the consent agenda, I think you want to go to item J and accept or reject that bid.
We made a motion and we.
I think we already did that.
Yeah, we did.
Didn't we?
Have they, I know you put it back on the agenda item, but did they
No, we
accept it?
made a motion to approve it.
His motion was to accept it.
Okay. Very well
So,
then.
does that mean, are we done with that? Or do we need to put it back on the agenda? I mean, we already approved it, so I don't know.
I'll defer to Ron.
I mean, it's already had a motion to approve and that was passed. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go
Okay.
wrong by it being added back on and passed again, but
Oh, let's
you've already done it.
Let's just go ahead. Consent agenda.
Okay. Consent agenda items, C through N are submitted for your approval with the exception of item H and I and L.
H, I, and L are out, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mayor Allen,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Broadway,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Pollack.
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews.
Yes.
Councilmember Hand.
Yes.
Councilmember Aycock.
Yes.
All right, the consent agenda is approved. Next, we got items requiring individual action. We got item L, the consolidated plan for action. And Chicole's already gone over it, so there's no point in going over it again. I mean, it's just a matter of y'all want to approve it, not approve it, or what?
I make a motion that we don't approve it.
There's a motion over here not to approve it?
Yes.
Second.
Pardon?
Second. Bless you.
Excuse me.
I'll knock you out. There's a motion and a second not to approve it. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise? Okay. So the motion fails. Is there any other motions?
Make a motion that we approve the bond plan as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
But how can we rightfully approve this considering the information we were just provided? We haven't even had time to consider Matthew Whittle and Carl Martin and all of these other people who came and spoke. I just don't, and if they were supposed to have their comments responded to and then that didn't even happen, how can we approve it?
Well, I think the first thing is very fluid, and you can change whatever you need to change during the year if you need to change something. I mean, it's not a, you gotta do X just like this.
But we say that, we oftentimes say that, Mayor Allen, and then nothing ever changes, and then next year we're back at the same thing.
Well, and if you don't change it, it's not gonna change, right? So I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but what I am saying is the ability to change it is there if four people wanna change
We
it.
have historically changed it.
Yeah, and the basic plan is there. I mean, does that mean that we want to take something and put more here or more there? Absolutely, that's fine.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to mention that in Mr. Martin's presentation, he spoke that con plan didn't address affordable housing. There are 16 items on the con plan, 11 of which are directly attributed to housing.
Right.
That's not what you said.
All right, anything else? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Individual.
Huh?
Individual.
No, this is like this. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we've approved that. City manager's report?
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank the GPD, Police Department, for its community policing efforts. If you go to our city website, you'll see Chief West put together a use of force policy and CALEA update for citizens. You can find that in the information that was posted on June 25th. Also, if you go to the GPD website, you'll see information on their strategic plan, which talks about a strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and another CALEA execution on how we're adding to the professionalism of our force. I recommend those for people who are concerned about our policing actions. I'd also like to remind people about COVID-19. Most of you all probably know it's still out there, but some of the numbers, there's 2,000 cases in Wayne County to date. About 90% of those have recovered. We are 7th in the state for the total number of COVID cases, and 3rd for the total number of cases per 10,000 people. So please continue to wait 6 feet apart, wear your masks, and wash your hands, as the governor has said, and to execute best social distancing practices so we can continue to do our business. Thank you.
That it?
That's it, sir.
All right. We got mayor and council members' reports and recommendations. We'll start with you, Councilman Raycott.
No comment.
Ms. Matthews?
Thank you, Mayor Allen. The budget meeting a few weeks back created a lot of chatter that I think needs to be addressed by me specifically. Me asking questions should in no way come as a surprise to anyone. I made it very clear during my campaign what District 4 and Goldsboro could expect from me as their councilwoman. During my campaign, there were 5 words that you heard me speak on every platform: energize, engage, educate, challenge, and create. I meant those words then, and I mean them even more now. Our proposed budget was released, and I spent hours upon hours upon hours reading and researching. And it didn't take very long for there to be some cause for concern, a lot of red flags, and a lot of questions. I even went so far to encourage my District 4 residents to get involved because this proposal would definitely affect them as well as all of our residents. The drastic increase in water and sewer rates should raise questions. We are cutting department funding, we are freezing needed positions and unable to purchase needed equipment to do city business should raise questions. Paying out $60,000 to $80,000 to a certain group that only a few council members had privy to know about, while our frontline supporting agencies have to take cuts, should raise questions. Let me pause to say again, I am well aware of the economic impact of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base and their significance. Let me say again, that was never my question, it was never my comment, it was never my concern. I also stated that we as a city should in fact support our airmen and women and their families. $1 million violation surrounding Case Farms, considering there has been issues surrounding a conflict of interest that has been brought up by a former council member last year, should raise questions. Our finance director's comments about the money and the departments, and I consider her to be a subject matter expert, should raise questions. There's so much cause for concern, and I'm not sure how many of our residents have been in charge of making decisions for millions of dollars, but this was my first experience in which I took very seriously, and I deserved more compassion and understanding from our city leadership. Now, what I do understand is that sometimes asking certain questions may be uncomfortable for those when they have personal vested interest in the topic at hand. However, that in no way should warrant the disrespect that I received from the mayor. Mayor Allen, I came before this city council a year ago to speak on several issues, and I addressed you specifically. I spoke about your disrespect towards certain women who would come to the podium. A year later, that is felt in real time towards myself and our finance director during our budget meeting. I will in no way tolerate, accept, or overlook that blatant disrespect from you or any member of this council. I will be respected. I saw a huge push from members of this board when it came to censoring a seated council member based off some allegations. So I asked this board, what happens now? A motion, censorship, removing your voting privileges, or calling for your immediate dismissal from this board? What will be your accountability, Mayor Allen? Because as the leader of this city, that kind of behavior should not be dismissed. Many times you and I have disagreed on record and off record. Each time I respected your position, you need to respect mine. And there is no compromise on that. I have personally come to you and I have asked you, what can we do to strengthen the board together? I talked to you many times about the personal feelings certain council members have against one another and how it was affecting the work that we were elected to do. Haven't I, Mayor Allen? Haven't I? I have begged you to ask your friends to pull the plug on Team Goldsboro. I shared with you the damage it is causing, and you have seen the many citizens' requests and concerns. I told you that city employees participate and how much bad representation it is on the city. Whether you or anyone likes it or not, I still stand firm on everything I've said to you. Your influence and loyalty from your circle is like anything I've ever seen. We agreed, you and I both agreed, that this group was created in support of you. Surely they can dismantle in support of you as well. I simply asked you to do the right thing. Our residents are being affected. They are being verbally attacked and threatened online. And I was recently verbally attacked inside of a shopping store by a page supporter and contributor. What more has to happen? Considering the climate that we are in now, this has to stop. And let me be very clear, to Mark and your team, the email that you posted was not the first time I have mentioned Team Goldsboro. The involvement of the city's community relations director or the mayor and his influence as it relates to your page. I met with the city manager within a month of me being sworn in to discuss this very issue. So the narrative that you tried to create that says I was wanting to silence a group or infringe upon the First Amendment rights is absurd. Let's iron out this wrinkle now. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences. If you want to see what real leadership looks like, look at our Wayne County Sheriff's Office. An employee used her freedom of speech and she was fired. Speaking of silencing though, Mayor Allen, when you abused your power to silence me, when you banged your gavel while I was talking, you also silenced the 300,000 plus residents that I represent in District 4. And not only do I and the residents that I represent deserve an apology, anyone and everyone who is offended by your behavior deserves an apology. As I said in my email, and I'll say it now, I expect more from you as our city's leader. I will not sit in this seat idle just to gain popularity. I have greater work to do. To this board, are you really listening? Are you listening to the people that you were elected to serve? Thank you tremendously to those people who showed up today specifically in support of me, that spoke up, that used your voice. It does matter. We have work to do. I encourage that we do it together. Thank you.
Thank you. I just, I want to end out by giving a shout out to a 9-year-old that I know named Eli Wilson for his unselfish act by putting a tie-dyed spin on masks as well as t-shirts during the COVID-19 pandemic. Since June, 50 to 100 orders have been placed weekly, and as of June 29th, he has donated $300 of proceeds to the United Way in its COVID efforts. Tie-Dye by Eli Facebook group is his way to get in contact. I would also like to recognize the consistent efforts of the Seventh-day Adventist Church at the intersection of Lee and East Mulberry Street that ensures that I'm able to deliver food weekly to the elderly population at the Waynesboro House. Those elderly really look forward to those meals. I know they were cut, the Meals on Wheels was kind of cut to once a week. So this kind of helps supplement, their meals that they would receive. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all our first responders and our police department. I think they're doing a great job. They are keeping, and I'd like to thank all the citizens that are wearing masks and keeping social distance. It seems to me we're doing a lot better now than we are, and we're a long way out of this COVID-19, so we got to all stay together and support each other. That's all I have, sir.
All right, Councilor Wade.
First off, I want to say, Brandy, I'm sorry for what happened during our budget meeting. You don't deserve it. Like you said, you did a lot of homework. We did a lot of homework pertaining to the budget. It's not easy. I would hope, of course, that our mayor would apologize. You deserve to be apologized so we can move forward. Couple of things that have been on my mind. There was a news reporter here, and he had wrote that I should have knew who Friends of Seymour was. And I just tell him, do some true investigation before you say what I should have known. I say to him, call me before you print something, and maybe I could elaborate or explain a little bit more. If you want to see information, we can go back from fiscal year 2015, all the way to fiscal year 1920. I can show you all the books. I kept all our budget books. There's no Friends of Seymour anywhere. So I will hope that you will retract what you said about me, knowing about Friends of Seymour. How could I know about Friends of Seymour when I was never invited to be on a board in all the years that I've been here? How could I know about Friends of Seymour when our mayor, after the second day of budgets, admitted that he was on that board, as well as Councilman Broadway? I wouldn't know if I'm not in the club. How could I know if no one took me under the wing and said, hey, I want to let you get involved with this? My other issue that I had was because I asked our city attorney if there was a conflict of interest. And he sent me something which I received today. And we always mention Ms. Frida Bluestein, but I don't see any details. What I've read says quite the opposite, that any public official involved in administrating a contract, if he or she oversees the performance of the contract or has authority to make decisions, they're prohibited from voting. This is statute. This is statute. But I can't get an honest answer from our city attorney, from the people who sit on this board. So I'm talking about transparency here. We trust people that have these positions, but they're not being honest with you. We have a city attorney whose contract has ran out. He had a year contract. It has not come before this board. Nor has this board said anything, nor has he said anything. Where's the transparency? Where's the honesty? Why wouldn't our city manager address that? Because you're too busy addressing issues about nonsense instead of handling business properly. Then, we just made a settlement with Nicole Simpson Carter, and our city attorney states that we can't tell the public. It's public dollars. It's public dollars. I guess I'll be censored because I'm explaining this. Well, if you censor me, make sure you censor our mayor for his actions. That's all I got. Good night.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We stand adjourned.